Fair point all. Very well. If I must serve in a more public capacity for the sake of Doman, then I shall. Lord Heen has placed his trust in us to manage this monumental task, to see our people's hopes and dreams realized. We shall not fail him. I shudder to think where we would be without your assistance, Desiree. Your constant support has been invaluable, but our grand design for revitalization of the Enclave is far from finished. When we have finalized our plans for the next step, I pray we can look to you for once more. The Doman of our memories and our hearts will soon be ours again. Until that blessed day, let us never give up hope. Desiree, just the person of whom I was hoping to speak. There have been some interesting developments in our plans for the Enclave. The Kai and the residents have made a combined effort to clear away a vast amount of debris, opening up more land for us to develop. We are considering a number of different projects, such as allocating land for farming, buildings for new enterprises, and so forth. Naturally, our need for resources has never been greater. I do not speak only of material costs, but also of the labor required. In order to adequately explain our next undertaking, I must... Sorry to interrupt, but perhaps it would be best coming from me. We meet again, Warrior of Light. You may not remember me, but I was there the day you and Lady Yugiri freed me and my countrymen from Castrum Fluminus. I owe my freedom to you. But I must admit I was in something of a panicked state when we first met, so much so that I neglected to thank you or give my name. I am Ihase. The Kai has agreed to assist us with one of the newly opened patches of land. Like the rest of Yansha, the Enclave is blessed with a constant supply of clean water, ideally suited for rice farming. I was practically raised in a paddy field and aimed to put my experience to good use. You see, now that a lot of basic living quarters and such are in decent state, a few of us would like to turn our attention to cultivating crops, rice in particular. It's no exaggeration to say that it's our lifeblood. That is why I asked for permission to use the land. If you're not otherwise engaged, it would be a great honor to show you around. It's to the northwest, not far of here. It's to the northwest, not far of here. I, for one, am in total agreement with Ihase. Prosperous harvests will be an enormous boon as we strive towards self-sufficiency. As surplus produced would fetch a high price beyond our borders, it would go a long way to a revival of the Enclave. Ihase and the other farmers have already started plotting out their plots. It would mean the world to them if you paid a visit. I never thought the day the Warrior of Light would come to see my paddy fields, and here you are. So, may I ask what you think of the place? Still a bit run down. Bit on the bleak side, isn't it? At first, that certainly appears to be the case. Until recently, the soil was covered in rubble, which is why hardly anything grew here. Once we had gotten rid of the debris, we found the earth below fairly easy to till. I also heard that before houses were built on this land, it was actually used for growing rice. It would give me a huge sense of satisfaction if the area were to come full circle and produce crops once more. The area is well suited to farming. Water naturally drains out of the fields and into the river without much intervention on our part. However, we must occasionally bring in fresh soil to replenish our nutrients. Of course, even earth of the highest quality will be of little value until we get more water flowing into the fields. Relying purely on the streams flowing down from the mountains will lead to a poor yield. We could dig a channel leading off from the one river to bring in some of its mineral-rich silt. Yes, that should work. Oh, I do apologize. No doubt you have better things to do than listen to my rumination of paddy field drainage. My workers and I do not lack for motivation, only for funding and materials. With your support, the people of the Enclave will soon be feasting on delicious, homegrown rice. Leave it to me. A new chapter has begun for the reconstruction effort. Your contribution to the XIV will help the Doman Enclave continue to grow. On behalf of the XIV, Desiree, I thank you for your support. Ihasa and the other farmers are working hard to develop the reclaimed land. I hear their new tools have made a world of difference. While we are able to produce some of the necessary equipment here, our craftsmen are already working at maximum capacity. In many cases, it's quicker to simply purchase what we require. Your contribution helped us secure these tools for Ihasa and the others. If you are curious to know how their work is proceeding, why not pay them a visit? Come to see how we're getting on? The new tools have helped us a great deal. We are very grateful. There's still a lot of work to be done before we can start planting the rice. That reminds me, I placed an order with Kozakura and the delivery is due any day now. Which one of you is Ihasa? That would be me, and you must be here to deliver 2 sturdy-looking Zors as requested. Glad we had to trade for Doman goods so coveted are they by our brothers. But may we ask why you require 2 live Zors? Would be simpler to bring you horns or pelts or meat, or do you prefer to slaughter them yourselves? Coming for that, we wish to use them as beasts of burden to help plow the fields. Well-tilled soil is essential in cultivating of crops. Just the thought of eating the first rice ball from our own harvest makes my mouth water. Rice balls. We remember these fondly. So vivid is the memory I can almost taste it. Mitsuba first introduced us to their heavenly goodness. I shall never forget the flavor. To think that those from the steppe can assist in producing rice makes me very proud. Brother, if they're to stay and help, maybe they'll share some of the harvest with us. Is this some jest? The Buduga live only for battle, but for plowing fields and scattering seeds. What of our aim to secure the Firewalker? We owe our lives not only to Mitsuba, but to the whole Enclave. They are the ones who nursed us back to health when we're close to death. Surely we should repay this debt before attempting to seize Hien. If we work these fields, we can observe his comings and goings and find the right moment. Not you two. So that makes it 2 against 1. Loath as I am to admit it, the idea is not entirely without merit. Yes, will you allow us to work alongside you? The only payment we ask is a few bales of rice. We need all the help we can get, and you seem to have a knack for steering Zors in the right direction, which will no doubt prove useful. But I must warn you, the process takes several moons. You will get your share of the harvest once we are done, though. Then we have an agreement. If it leads to the capture of Hien, there's no hardship we would not bear. Come to think of it. Yes, perhaps if this is finished, you should return to the steppe with us. A man of your stature and obvious strength could make a name for himself. You want me to join the Buduga? I cannot imagine my wife and children would be very happy about that. Besides, I'm much more at home in a paddy field than on a battlefield. No. Work in the Enclave of Doman is proceeding apace. The new workers and beasts of burden will increase productivity and lighten the load for Ihasa and his farmers. Alright, another week. So, time to turn in more. On behalf of the XIV Desiree, I thank you for your support. I'm pleased to inform you that we have made great strides in our efforts to rebuild the Enclave. So, what are we getting? Farmers are planting rice. The building is being constructed in the fields, so are several. Owing to your many contributions, the Enclave de Mesmer has seen further development. As you continue to contribute, in what ways will the Doman Enclave grow and change? Alright. Show me. I thank you for more support. I'm pleased to inform you that we have made great strides in our efforts to rebuild the Enclave. You already had that already. Yeah, exactly. We had that already. Rice planting is finished. Scarecrows are planted. Once again, allow me to thank you for your continued contributions. Ihasa tells me that everything we need for rice production is now ready. The crops are growing remarkably well. If all goes according to plan, we can expect a decent harvest in a few moons. Are you interested to see the progress Ihasa has made with the paddy fields? Perhaps you should stop for a chat with him. We now have all the essentials for rice production. There's even a water wheel for milling once it has been harvested. Most of the more difficult tasks have been taken care of, so all we need to do now is keep a field free of weeds and scatter fresh soil from time to time. Some of the children came to help and were here until a few moments ago. I wonder where they've run off to. Hey everyone, Mitsuba brought food. Come on, let's eat. It's meant to be a surprise for you, but nothing gets past these younglings. Thanks to them, my grand entrance is ruined, but I may as well say my piece. Can I interest any of you hardworking farmers in a meat-filled rice bowl? As for you, Desiree, you may not be a farmer, but I'd say you deserve one too. I know you've invested an awful lot into making a success of this place. Say, what brings you all the way here, Desiree? Have you come to visit us? You're helping with the Enclave? Wow, you're the best. Since we got back here, the Doman Adventurers Guild has been busier than ever. There's all sorts of things to take care of. We need new members just to keep up. It looks like we got some catching up to do. Why not talk about it over some good old-fashioned Doman grab? But you've all covered in muck, so don't forget to wash your hands first. Last one clean isn't rotten egg. Good evening to you all. Kosakaru, to what are we over pleasure? Actually, I was hoping to speak with Desiree concerning the reconstruction effort. But Shasenkai has reached a decision on our next project. We wish to rebuild Risai-yuku, a school for local children or anyone with a mind to learn. I would like you all to meet the tutor. You mean Miss Minazuki? The teacher? That's great news. Guess what? We went to Revenant's Toll and had all kinds of adventure. You mean to say you're already acquainted? Yes, her husband was our master of lessons. They used to teach us when we lived here before. When we were taking breaks from training, she would give us snacks and tell us old stories. Oh, what a wonderful coincidence. I'm happy to see you reunited at long last. I prayed you would return safely. Words cannot express how worried we were after you and your family fled to seek refuge in Eorzea. But those dark days are behind us now. Kozakura tells me you have formed the Doman Adventurers Guild and performed all manner of good deeds during your time in Mordona. In fact, I hear you have been helping people here in the Enclave too. Well, if you can find time between guild assignments, perhaps you could resume your lessons? Yes, we'd love to. The school can be our new headquarters. Come on, let's take a look. You must be the hero whose name is on everyone's lips. It's an honor to finally meet you. As you heard, the master of lessons to whom the children referred was indeed my husband. After his death during Lord Kyan's rebellion, the Guardians kept a close eye on me, fearing my teachings might spark an uprising. Now, with the Empire gone and our countrymen repatriated, I hope we can reclaim some semblance of normalcy. An old woman I may be, but I'm not blind to the events of the outside world. I have heard the tales of your bravery. Yet not for you and your friends, Doman would still be under Imperial rule and its place in ruins. Instead, it's now a thriving community, and I'm sure the best is yet to come. The Enclave de Mesmer complete. At the completion of the Enclave de Mesmer, the Shasenkai initiate an ambitious plan to revive an important place of learning, Risai-yuku, a school for those with a thirst for knowledge. On behalf of the Shasenkai, Desiree, I thank you for your support. Although construction of a school is proceeding quicker than expected, it is still little more than a place for the students to gather. Nonetheless, Minazuki has already started tutoring there. The sheer enthusiasm on the faces of the children is a sight to behold. I'm sure that Minazuki will not mind if you call in to observe one of the lessons. Well, at least we're not constructing while the students are here. Oh, this is a welcome surprise. So what do you think of our school? With a roof and sturdy walls, we can study without worrying about the weather. On the other hand, the bookshelves are looking rather empty. I have my own copies of most of the text, but listening to me reading them aloud does nothing for the children's literacy. Luckily, for today's lesson on Risai, we have all the books we need. Are you familiar with a pivotal figure? Really? Then why don't you join our lesson? Never pass up an opportunity to learn. That's what Miss Minazuki always says. Would you like to take a seat? Risai was a renowned samurai who once served Doman. Not only was he a loyal and gifted swordsman, he was also a master tactician and well versed in the use of firearms. Above all else, however, he was a learned man and spent much of his time reading. When his days as his lord's vassal came to an end, he established a school that became known as Reconstruction. Unlike most others at the time, it was not only for the children of samurai or those of high social standing, but for everyone. Rich or poor, all were accepted as students. The school had a special place in our community and remained opened after his death, with some of his former pupils becoming tutors themselves. So that's where our school got its name. Ah, Miss Minazuki was one of his students. Yes, I was. I spent many happy years at the Risayuku, first as a pupil and later as a teacher. But all that came to an end when the Guardians invaded. They closed the school and sought to undo all the good it had done. Even so, some of the older generation, such as myself, continue to teach Doman values in secret. The lessons we used to have together were one such example. But now that the Empire is gone, we can teach as we please, without fear of reprisal. That's why I decided to reopen Risayuku. The decades of oppression could not crush the Doman spirit. Much like the Shazen saw, we survive even under the harshest condition. When they cut us down, we sprout anew, because our roots are strong. We never give in to those dogs. Doma forever! My sentiments exactly. Now, who would like to read the next chapter to the class? Me! Lessons are being held as Risayuku, and the students are eager to learn more of Doma's history and traditions. As you continue to contribute to the Shazenkai, how will the Doman Enclave grow? As a result of the Enclave's expansion, the rate of gratuities paid for donations has increased, as well as the weekly budget. It comes across as a bit surreal of how attentive and eager the students are, but maybe they're still young, it's hard to guess their ages. In younger years that works usually. Thank you for your support. Your contribution has led to truly remarkable improvements as Risayuku. Of course, seeing is believing, as the saying goes. Minazuki would like nothing more than to show you the improvements to the school. It's still open, more or less, but it looks, well, more finished. Less like a construction site. Ah, the savior of Risayuku. I expect you have come to see what we have done with the school. The building is a lot more grand, as you can plainly see. We have a lot more books to use in our lessons. Yeah, right. She complained about empty shelves last time. I was also delighted to find that the children taking it upon themselves to gather everything they need to practice calligraphy. Tsuhanuki gave us some suit to make ink. I had to wash my hands about 3 times to get them clean again, but it was a lot of fun. We can show you how it's done, if you like. We got some paper from our Ragi too. And best of all, he gave it to us for free. He said it had fallen just short of perfection or something. Good enough to practice with, though. He gave me a pinwheel as well. What? Why didn't I get one? They've always been energetic, but they've become so outgoing and independent during their time in Modona. They've been through so much at such a young age, which often forces children to grow up quickly. But it's more than that, I feel. I think that all that hardship has taught them to appreciate the good times. Perhaps they've come to truly understand the joy that freedom can bring. It's a delight to see the smiles on their faces. Many others around the Enclave feel the same way. It fills us with hope for better days to come. Actually, I thought this might be a good time to mention that the children have been planning something special for the school. Been trying to keep it a secret from me, so I shall have to remember to act surprised when it's finally unveiled. If my guess is correct, I have a feeling that you will want to see it too. Visayuku has undergone a remarkable transformation, and its students are more motivated than ever. As you continue to contribute, how will the Enclave improve? On behalf of the Chosen Kai, I thank you for your support. I'm pleased to inform you that we have made great strides in our efforts to rebuild the Enclave. Owing to your many contributions, Visayuku has seen further development. And how will it develop further? I think this was the side room that is now more than just a swamp, but actually a playground? Training ground? Maybe both? Alright, but that's it for this week. Alright, another week for the Doman Enclave. Time to turn some stuff in. Your contributions have, as always, had a profound effect on the Enclave. Minazuki informs me that Visayuku now has everything it needs. All of the necessary books and writing materials have been procured, and the school itself is the perfect environment for learning. Shall we go see it for... While it was not my intention to eavesdrop, I could not help but overhearing that you might be visiting the school. I did have a message for you, but it seems it no longer needs to be delivered. Oh my, your clothes! Come now, what's so strange about seeing a Doman man dressed in traditional manner? Truth be told, most of us former refugees were glad for the chance to put on something more comfortable. All except the children, that is. They have grown so accustomed to their Eorzean clothing that they are reluctant to wear anything else. Far be it from me to deny them when they're so adamant. Oh yes, that reminds me. The little ones wanted me to bring you to the school. Apparently they have something to show you. I wonder what it could be. Thank you for letting us know, Hosan. Well then, Desiree, shall we adjourn? Hosan mentioned that the students have something they would like us to see. May I ask what it is? Perhaps I should let the children explain. Look, up on the wall. Globe? A star globe. And a world map. Miss Flamen gave it to us when we left Revenant's Toll. It's so we don't forget Eorzea and all the adventures we had there. We asked some of the grown-ups to frame it and hang it on the wall. You like it too, don't you, miss? Yes, anything that tells us about the world beyond our borders is welcome here. And it brings me great relief to know that there are those in Eorzea who would go out of our way to aid Domans like us. But surely such a large and meticulously crafted map is worth a substantial amount of gil. There must be some way we can repay your friend. Well, she said she didn't need it anymore. We'll still thank her though. Have you never seen a map like this before, miss? Lots of people have an Revenant's toll. Big ones, small ones, all sorts. I must admit that this is the first time I've seen one of this sort. Until recently we had few chances to lay our eyes on anything Eorzean. We can show you all kinds of treasures. There's one for making small things look big, and another for reading the stars. And I've got a chocobo. Well, a stuffed toy anyway. They're big birds you can ride like horses. Hey miss, do you see the big desert on the map? That's where Ulda is, and Revenant's toll is next to it. Maybe one day we could travel to lots of new places like Desiree. We can explore the lands under those white clouds. It sounds like I could stand to learn a few things from you, my dears. You and the other former refugees have much and more to share with the rest of Doma. Perhaps we should compile your experiences in a tome? Minazuki was not exaggerating when she told me how the children had taken to the new Risai Yuku. It's another sign that life is returning to the way it was prior to the occupation. Even with the empire driven from this land, we must remain vigilant to problems within and without our borders. Which reminds me, the Shazenkai has received another proposal. A number of Domans who were once conscripted into the Garlean forces have banded together to patrol the Enclave to keep the area free from trouble. They wish to establish their own barracks by the Kierkan. My comrades and I agreed that this is indeed a worthwhile endeavor and shall be channeling funds toward its development. Please come to the Shazenkai if you would like to know more. Risayuku is now complete, and Kozakura has already begun preparations for the Enclave barracks. Biodoma 3.